Hello, Karu. It is currently Sunday, the 27th of January, the year of our Lord 2019. And I am sorry that I haven't kept up with making videos while we've been here in Puerto Vallarta. I took a bunch of footage earlier in the trip. Actually, a lot of this footage, I think that what you see here is like from last week, um, the the beach. Um, and As part of this trip, uh, Sarah's aunts and uncle were coming to spend a week with us. So Pete and Candy and Trish came down, and it's been great having them here. But since they got here, um, there's just been a little bit more structure to our days and things we've been doing with them. And I just have not been disciplined enough to make videos for you. So I'm going to try to catch up. This is going to be a long video, I think. It's looking like 16 or 17 minutes of footage that I have here. And I will put it all together and try to talk about it. I've got a list of things to talk about. So I'll just talk over the top of it and keep going. So for starters, I want to talk about Elizabeth and Karu's wedding. They have, I think I told you, they've chosen a venue and set up a date, and they're very excited about it. And things are going really well for both of them right now. Crew apparently got called into a meeting with his boss, and they're reorganizing a little bit and giving him and reassigning a third person in the company to be his boss. And so his current boss and his new boss took him out to lunch, and they basically told him that they want to keep him at the company, and they asked him what they could do to do that. So that was nice. He had a rough first year there, but is very happy right now, and he actually feels like there's some room for him to be a little creative in his job. It's all within a technical constructs, but yeah, he's enjoying that. So that's going well, and Beth is really enjoying working at Microsoft, and things are going well there. And so they're going to actually, he's got some other good friends who are getting married, I think in September. So they're getting married in October, and then they're planning on going to Hawaii on their honeymoon, which is kind of cool. So I hope they have a good time. I'm looking forward to the wedding. Actually, I think we're going to go try to see them in February, just a couple weeks after we get back from this trip. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that's all good. Things are moving along there. I'm looking at my list of things to talk about. I'm going to switch it up. One of the things that I have done since I've been down here was I ran across a video called Digilante. That is Digilante, Digilante. That's a short documentary on YouTube, and it's done by this Australian guy, and basically it tells the story of how he exposed some racist behavior on a bus in Australia. That is racist behavior on a bus in Australia. He exposed with a video on his cell phone, and then it kind of spun out of control, and he ends up coming back around and feeling guilty about exposing it because of the impact it has, the unintended and cruel impact it has on the people who were actually involved in the behavior. And he kind of second guesses himself for doing so, because he feels like he just did it because he was angry and wanted revenge, and it ended up spinning out of control. Um, so so yeah, it was an interesting little video, and I don't know if you'd be interested in watching it. It's like 20 minutes long. It might not be, but I think in some ways it was really nice to see somebody give sort of an even-handed um, and sort of more in-depth description of like this racist event that happened. And there's no question that the people who were involved in perpetrating it were behaving really, really badly and needed to be called on it to some degree. But the he takes some time to actually talk to at least one of them and find out what was going on in the guy's life, and the guy clearly was very remorseful about it, and realized that he had done the wrong thing. But he ended up going to jail for it, actually, regardless. But I think it's too easy to forget other people are human and to just be in the business of condemning people. And I enjoyed kind of seeing that difference. By the way, the footage you've seen here so far, like Sarah and I walked into town and had breakfast one morning and then rode the bus back out. That's what you watched. This was like the next day. I walked into town by myself, and I obviously got there. This is 3 miles into it, so this is like 45 minutes into the walk. So I've been waking up early and walking in when I can. Actually, since Pete and Candy and Trish are here, I've been walking with them in the morning, so I haven't until today been doing as much walking, but I'll talk more about that later. So anyway, Digilante, and if you're interested, you can look it up. If not, it doesn't matter. It just was one of those things that I enjoyed. It gives me a little hope when people have a nuanced view of what's going on in the world instead of just wanting to show you who the good guys and bad guys are. Speaking of good guys and bad guys, the next thing I wanted to talk about was I've been following really closely, in addition to the government shutdown we had in the U.S., which just ended a couple days ago, I've been following the Brexit stuff. And I think you would really find it interesting to watch some of the British Parliament on YouTube. And there's this Speaker of Parliament is this guy named John Bercow, Bercow. And I just find it endlessly fascinating to watch him preside over Parliament, and the way he deals with controversies and the British approach to, they're all the right honorable this, the right honorable that, and they're all about flowery language and giving each other the sort of the pretense of respect while at the same time calling each other out. And this John Bercow is like a master at this. Apparently he's been Speaker of the House for 9 years. He was a very young Speaker when elected, and was asked to stay on because of the Brexit crisis. He was originally said he would only do it for 9 years. But because of the Brexit crisis, Parliament unanimously asked him to stay on as Speaker. So anyway, fascinating. The catastrophe that is Brexit is something else. Again, it's just, I don't know how much you've been following it, but it is so similar to like what happened with the government shutdown here, except both sides there just appear to be like racing like lemmings off the cliff. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. So, what else? Oh, I did actually read most of the article on Mitch McConnell. I didn't manage to get through the whole thing. I need to go back. I'm going to finish it. and that is, you know, he's like the exact opposite of John Burkow. I mean, like he's like the guy that you don't want in charge, um, and he's not eloquent. He's not actually trying to be impartial or do the right thing. He's just trying to get what he wants, and he doesn't care about the ramifications of it. And it's just incredibly disheartening. And his history, yeah, I I am, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Um, so second to last thing here is um, Sarah. Actually, it's funny. We were in the pool one day. So my routine since we've been here has pretty much been I get up early, usually before Sarah, and I go for a walk and I come back, and then I'm usually hot and sweaty, and we go swimming in the pool. I get her out to go swim in the pool, and I jump in the hot tub, and then take a shower. And usually by then it's close to noon, um, and then kind of fritter away the afternoons. Um, and so Sarah, she gets up usually and writes in the morning, and she's usually done with most of her work by the time I'm home from my walk. I've been gone anywhere from 1 hour to 3 hours on the walks. So anyway, one morning, kind of we were in the pool, um, on around noon or whatever, and she said, and she was lamenting the fact that Adobe InDesign, the software that I used to do the book layout, we had to buy a yearly prescription for it, or subscription to it, whatever. And so she said we were in the pool, and she's like, "Yeah, so we're still paying for it through June." And then she got this gleam in her eye. She said, "You should do a second book. You should do one for the Gareth and Gwen series for me." and and I was like, I could do that. I wouldn't be able to use any of the same pictures, and we'd have to do a lot of different stuff because a lot of the history is, we kind of did a bunch of the kind of generic, pictures of castles and stuff in the last book. And she said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so she's already put together an outline, which I have not looked at yet. So that'll be my next project I need to get to work on. Um, by the way, the footage you're seeing here is all from today, my walk this morning. I walked about a little less than 9 miles, and it's a similar walk. You'll see some of it similar to the earlier footage, but I just thought I was out walking and just enjoying being out in these neighborhoods, and I thought I would take some video and talk to you about it. So I'm transitioning away from the Gareth and Gwen book and talking about that maybe for a little bit here. Yeah, so I can't remember what I said in all the other videos, but the walking with Scott Fairley that I've done over the last few years has really kind of got me in this mindset where I don't worry about having to walk 10 miles, And so when we got here, I saw that it was only 3 miles into town. Yeah, you can hear the church bell there. Pretty cool, huh? And so I just started walking into town and then looking for places I could walk up in the hills. And unfortunately, when I'm walking in the hills, I don't think of videoing because I'm sucking wind like you wouldn't believe. But I've just found it so much fun on this trip to just go wander through these neighborhoods. And this is a Sunday morning, so clearly there's not a ton of people around. It's pretty deserted. But any day I've walked, I've been able to find neighborhoods where there's not a lot of people around and just wander through them and look at the cars and the roads. I love the cobblestone roads, although they're a little hard on my feet. And actually walking up and down in the hills, I know I've posted some videos of those earlier. I really enjoy that. And then you come out of these neighborhoods and you could be, you could be in Southern California or Arizona or something with you'll see the stores here are all the same and everything. But the other thing I noticed is that when I'm walking through downtown, the Mexican people who are there, uh, they tend to either they don't want to talk to you at all or they want to sell you something. Those are the two types of people you see, in the tourist areas. And you get out in these other neighborhoods, and actually, I just passed a woman there in that video, and she clearly, you see a lot of young women, and they do not want to make eye contact. They don't want, they're clearly on the defensive. But like on this morning, I was walking. I'm up on top of the hill on this road where there's like nobody, and I come over the crest, and there's a place where I'd found previously where you could kind of climb up off the road, scramble up a little embankment, and get a view out over the valley a little bit north of Puerto Vallarta, and it's a gorgeous view. And it had been like 5 or 10 minutes since I had seen anybody walking in that area, and as I came to scramble up the embankment, there were a couple of people up there, and they looked like they were, fairly poor. They're collecting aluminum cans, but then they like these big smiles on their faces, and the guy said, "Oh, it's bonita," or something like that. It's beautiful up here. And I said, "Yeah," and he invited me up, gave me a hand up, and I took a picture and said goodbye. And that friendliness isn't something, if you see someone like that somewhere else, they don't want to talk to you. And so I've really, really enjoyed all this walking. And even though I don't talk to a lot of people, I try to say buenos dias to everyone. And my Spanish is, I'm a little more confident with it, even though I'm not any better with it, if that makes any sense. So yeah, it's been a great trip. So I'm running out of footage. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I'll see if I take more in the next few days. We've only a couple days left. It's my story. I'm sticking to it. Oh, that's the tower I took video of before. Bye bye.